With 29 heroes in Overwatch and so many cool secrets and tips, sometimes it helps to have all of the best tips in one spot. Today I've got one advanced tip for each and every hero. My name is Nate, and welcome to Blizzard Guides. So I've got a few things to say before we get started. First off, the latest hero currently is Ashe, so if you came for Jetpack Cat, Echo, Junkertown Queen, or whoever is the latest, I don't have anything for you unfortunately. Second, I really did try to find the most advanced tips that I could find, but it's pretty difficult as I don't play every hero at such a high level. If you are a high level or very knowledgeable player for your main, you probably won't discover something new for your main. This video is intended for people who know the basics of each hero and are decent at each hero, but are trying to learn something new and super useful that it would take you maining and studying that hero for a very long time to learn. I learned a lot of new things while writing this video, so hopefully you do too. With that said though, let's get into this video. Starting us off because of the alphabet, Ana. For Ana, you can actually still reliably kill slep 200 HP targets. This means that if you shoot, nade, shoot, and melee, you can still kill these 200 HP enemies. All you have to do is make sure that you wait for the end of this sound cue and you should be good to go. I'm gonna play it a few times so that you guys get the gist of it. Next up is Ashe. While I didn't find anything crazy mind-boggling or really mechanically interesting, if you think that somebody's going to jump you, place a dynamite at your feet and coach gun away. This will burn the opponent, boop them away, and boop you away, allowing you to quickly follow up with a shot to the head. Following that is Bastion. You've probably seen this in pro matches. When you ult, tap healing after each shot if you're taking damage or about to take damage, since this will increase your overall ability to take damage at the cost of fewer shots than normal, but that's pretty okay considering that, well, you're staying alive. After Bastion, there's Brigida. Since Brigida got her super dash removed and she doesn't have her one shot, we're going to stick with her shield bash jump, which, while you don't get a lot of height, in certain spots you can gain some extra height. You just need to jump and then bash into something that is about waist height and you'll be able to escape some certain sticky situations. If only I could bash jump my way out of depression. Next up for D.Va, you can actually get 2 melees off in one booster. If you booster and immediately melee, you can get your first melee, a boop, and then melee to do extra damage. Instead of only doing 55 damage by canceling your flight with melee, you'll do 85 damage and still get full flight. After that, Doomfist. You can double the distance of your rocket punch by jumping at the end of it. In addition to this, you can change directions mid-punch by looking to the left or right rapidly and pressing space, allowing you to rapidly shift directions. Finally, you can do something similar to Brigida's bash jump by rocket punching and pressing space right as you meet the corner of an obstacle to go flying upwards. Next up is Genji. You can cancel deflect with dash and wall climbs, which allows you to quickly deflect an ability like hook, sleep, or flashbang, and then immediately begin dealing damage. After that, hand soap. It's a simple tip, but if you use storm arrows right before you ult, you can immediately start dealing damage with your storm arrows to deal a ton of extra damage, while also ulting in the same time. For Junkrat, you can hug a wall with your Riptire to make slightly less noise. You can hug a corner, third person, and then attack whenever you see an opening, and also do a lot less noise. Just make sure that you don't get shot through the wall like in this clip.
Coming right back towards the point, they're going to roll the tank out again. One tick, already got one tick, the Valiant really starting to speed up here. Okay, blistering pace.
Also, make sure that you jiggle your camera so that it makes you difficult to hit. For Lucio, on PC, set your jump to scroll wheel. This allows you to easily attach to a wall and then disconnect, giving you a huge boost in speed. The faster that you connect and disconnect, the more speed that you gain. You can combine this to increase the amount of speed you get from amping speed boost, and then maintain that speed for a short period of time by hopping on the ground. You can do this on console, but it's a bit more difficult. On Mccree, since his ult is always right to left, you can avoid shooting a deflecting Genji by placing him outside of your screen. You can also risk dying at the cost of getting a good high noon if the Genji is on the left side of the screen, which is an important tip to know. Also, you can quickly ult and cancel by pressing Q and immediately right-clicking, meaning that you reload your ammo instantly, which can be very useful at times. Next up, with Mei, you can actually block most ults with Cryo or Wall. This is super useful for D.Va's Bomb, Shatter, High Noon, EMP, and a bunch of other ultimates. Basically, if it requires line of sight, Mei can block it, with the exception of another Mei's ult. Also, you can destroy Orissa's supercharger by walling it. If you place a wall on Torb's turrets, it pauses them for the duration of your wall, but it doesn't destroy them. For Mercy, this is by far one of the best tips in my opinion, and something that I genuinely did not know. If you crouch, Guardian Angel, and press space right as you're ending the flight, you can shoot directly upwards. This works because when you press space, you gain a boost in momentum in the direction of the angle between you and your target. Normally, you can't get that angle to be vertical, but by crouching, you actually can. This is an extremely useful tool that you can use. You just really seriously have to practice this. It takes a bit to get down, but once you get it down, it's amazing. On Moira, you can fade jump by pressing space right as you hit the corner of anything that is shoulder height or lower, meaning that you can fade jump on pretty much anything. It takes a bit to get down, but you can eventually get good enough to where it becomes second nature. After that, with Orissa, I've got two things that you can learn. First, since you're usually going to have an Orissa versus Orissa on most maps that favor Orissa, you can actually slingshot yourself with an enemy Orissa's ult. This works with Mei as well, by the way. On top of that, with Orissa, you can animation cancel your ult with shield, fortify, or halt, so that you don't have to waste time missing shots or messing up your shields. Moving on with Fara, you can shoot before you ult to get a free rocket off since your ult reloads your gun. This allows you to super quickly burn somebody down if you land the direct rocket, which is super useful in tandem with the next tip, which is that Fara's ult stops your momentum completely, meaning that you can concussive blast, shift, and immediately ult to get the element of surprise on your side. Next up after that is Reaper. You can shoot and ult just like with Fara, because, Reaper's ult reloads his gun. On top of that, you can crouch and move left and right while you ult, which can sometimes be helpful to allow you to survive while ulting. And finally, you can also instantly reload and avoid damage by wraithing and immediately canceling wraith. It's kind of like Mccree's role. On Reinhardt, you can hold shield and your jump key to gain extra distance out of your charge. Following that, you can pin enemies and knock them off cliffs on certain spots like these. The cliff just has to be on your left side. Otherwise, you can combine it with the first tip to 180 and then boop them off, since when you exit your charge with that extra charge distance, you'll go through your enemy. Next up after that, with Roadhog, you can animation cancel your heal and your reload with your ult to surprise unsuspecting enemies with Whole Hog. This is really good for pretending to retreat and then suddenly 180ing and shooting them with Whole Hog. With Soldier 76, you can animation cancel your healing with your ult by pressing the biotic field key and then immediately ulting. On top of that, you can reload slightly faster by pressing the reload key and then waiting until the counter on the bottom left displays your new ammo count and then immediately sprinting, dropping biotic field, or helix rocketing. Moving our way onto Sombra, with EMP, you can achieve a faster EMP out of invisibility by throwing your translocator, uncloaking, teleporting, and then EMPing, instead of throwing your translocator, teleporting, and then EMPing, since you don't have to wait for the uncloak animation, since teleporting cancels that animation. Plus, it's also much quieter. After that, we've got Symetra. You can put a bunch of turrets on the ground and then teleport them all at once like this. It's really useful for aiding you with damage or putting pressure on the backline. Next up is Torbjorn. For Torb, you can extend your molten core duration by putting some molten core on the ground and then launching your hot loads into the air so that you have more uptime. For Tracer, if you blink, melee, and recall, you can completely throw in an extra 30 damage for free, which is super useful. All of the top tier pro Tracers use this. On top of that, you can ult, then blink, so that you instantly stick instead of waiting for the animation of the pulse bomb. Moving on to Widowmaker, you can block line of sight on certain spots with Venomine as such, which tends to be extremely useful for winning the Widow duel if you're at a higher level. On lower levels, this isn't particularly applicable, but at the GM level, I use this tip literally every single game that I can. For Winston, most players know about the melee land combo, which deals 80 damage of burst damage upon landing, but not a lot of players consider meleeing as they jump away. If you're trying to escape, throw a melee just in case to do a quick 30 damage. It's a small thing, but I've seen it go a long way. Personally, I use it almost every time that I'm trying to finish a target, but I also really need to jump away. On Wrecking Ball, you can pile drive anywhere with a wall or an inside corner by moving up the wall and jumping. It takes a ton of practice, but it is so useful for pile driving in the nick of time. Get this one down and you'll be an insane Hammond. With Zarya, if you alternate fire and primary fire in between, you can do more damage for the same amount of ammo, since you only need 1 point of ammo to get a full damage alternate fire out. As long as you don't use up too much ammo with your primary, you can do a lot of extra damage with this tip. And finally, last but not least, with Zenyatta, I do recommend that on PC, you set your Discord and Harmony orbs to scroll wheel. I've been doing this since the game came out. This allows for instant healing and discords. On top of that, you can discord with no downtime if you discord right as you primary fire. And finally, you can block line of sight of diva bombs and stuff like Ryan's pins, since you're invulnerable during your ult. And chaining from that, if you're super insane, you can use the knockback of Diva's ult to jump to locations you normally couldn't, although that is super difficult to pull off and I've never been able to successfully do it, but I've seen a lot of pros do it, so your mileage may vary. But anyway, that's all the tips for today. If you guys had anything that you thought that I missed and you want to include, leave a comment down below and we'll heart your comment. If you guys want to get more of the Blizzard Guides community, you can check out our Discord in the link below, or follow our Twitter or Instagram. And finally, if you guys want to see more content just like this, you guys can get subscribed and notified so that you never miss an upload. But anyway, I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. Have a nice day. My name is Nate, and this was Blizzard Guides.